So, why am I here? Well, a few people have been asking me, hey, since I mentioned it, how do you get the joystick thing to work in space combat? There are more than a few actually that have asked me this question. And I figured I'd actually show you how to get started and get it going together so that you can actually get your Xbox 360 gamepad specifically is the one that we're going to use for this. Obviously, you'll need the gamepad. You'll also need a Microsoft Xbox controller connector, which is like a wireless connector. It goes on Amazon for probably like 20-30 bucks, I think is what its current price is. And then if you have an Xbox controller, you can just use this. I got one laying around, you can use it. So first off, you'll need to connect that, get this connected, make sure it actually connects to your PC, make sure that the drivers are installed correctly. So that should be self-explanatory. Once you get to that step, you need to go ahead and download Joy2Key, which we're going to go over here and show you. You'll have to go to Joy2Key's website, their official website, download it. Just search Joy2Key in Google, you'll find it. You should be able to find it just fine. And then from there, after you download it, go to Google again and search Joy2Key Xbox, and there should be a Instructables post there that details the various command line stuff that you need to put into there. If you want to surpass that step and not make your own config, well, it's very easy. Instead of making your own config, they have a download button. You click download on the 4th page, I believe. It's on the last page of this thing, and you can just go there, download it, and put it in the same folder as Joy2Key, start up Joy2Key, and it should automatically detect it, as it's detecting right now with Windows. So that's what it's currently being called, and it's already working fine. You may have to set up threshold input for the device, which I like to keep it around 20%, 20-25% is what it is, and this is basically the dead zone for the joystick, and it's what you'll want to make sure to do, because otherwise your cursor will go all over the place and not really be in the area that you need it to be. So now that you've got that set up, assuming that you've got it set up, then you go to SOTOR, and as you can see, got no hands. I am away from my PC. I am streaming it live. I'm able to turn my camera with the diagonal buttons. Obviously, this is not ideal for playing the game in a normal situation, but if you had to, per se, go here and accept quests, if you needed to do that, you can go ahead and do that. You can also close it down. Pretty easy. This is using the A button. The A button would be your left click. B button would be your right click, and this is by the default settings, so unless you set it to whatever you want, which you can do that in the settings, this is what it will be defaulted to. Now, to keep in mind that again, the sticks will be very sensitive unless you actually adjust the dead zone, so make sure to do that. There's also many other buttons on here that do different things. The right trigger by default will close the program. The left trigger by default will minimize it in the current settings that they have in the default list. But for the sake of showing you how to actually do this and what the end result is, I figured I'd show you some space combat and how it actually looks, once you get going here. So first off, I'm going to go back to my ship before I get off, and I'm going to go to my mission log and scroll down here to space combat. See, I'm going to go to the Sarcosis fortification one. So I'm going to go there, go up here. And again, it's very easy to use this. Not so easy if you wanted to actually really play with it. Again, not advisable to do that, but anything else other than that, then it's fine. So again, we're going to just travel to that right now. We're going to load in here real quick. Again, this program, Joy2Key, very, very stable. Very lightweight, not going to really take up much memory. And as you can see, my stick is controlling it right now. Now you can obviously set the sensitivity. It doesn't have to be this bad in terms of like low sensitivity. So you can change it if you need to. but this is just for demonstration purposes. Now, A button will be fire, and then the B button will be the lock-on maneuver. So, here we go. Now, unfortunately, I'm not bound a spacebar key, so I don't have a barrel roll, but you can do that if you want to. It's not to say that you can't do that, because you can. You absolutely can. You just have to change the setting of the key inside Joy to Key, and it will do that for you. So again, as you can see, it's working fine. I'm finding that the sensitivity is a little bit low, but that's just because I haven't really set it up yet to actually be at the sensitivity that I would normally want. But it's working perfectly fine. I'm not having any real issue with acquiring targets, even though it's actually still a cursor and it's kind of not ideal, but it's working perfectly fine. And, no real issues thus far. So, go through this. Now this is one of the higher level ones. So I'm not choosing an easy one here at all. In fact, this is actually not exactly an easy space combat mission to go through, unless you're fully upgraded like I am at the moment.
Keep it steady.
So again, it takes a little bit getting used to. Obviously, it's a little bit different from using a mouse and keyboard. It's not going to be the kind of precision that you would normally expect from a mouse and keyboard, but under the circumstances, not a bad solution at all. So I would highly recommend it if you're looking for a solution for a gamepad for the space combat portion of Star Wars: The Old Republic. You could modify this to play the game normally. However, I would say, though, probably not ideal there either. Probably less so for that. However, there is a great thing about this as a sidebar. I've been using this for like the last couple of days, mainly for space combat, because I have to get away from my keyboard. That's one, and then also two, it's also great for if you're on your bed and you want to milk your crew skill stuff and not have to go to your keyboard. It's a great thing to use. Pretty much like having a wireless keyboard and mouse, all in one on your gamepad. So if you set it up correctly, you can do a lot of other things with it, and do some menial tasks instead of having to sit on your computer and sit in an office chair or whatever. So again, I'm going through this entire thing mainly because I wanted to show you guys that there's not really a disadvantage to using this, except for like the few little bit of sensitivity difference that there is. Again, there's no real lag to speak of for the most part. Again, it's all coming from the wireless Xbox controller. So if you're familiar with the Xbox controller, you should be familiar with the sort of way that feels. And whichever way is familiar for you, it will not only work for just the Xbox controller solution, but Joy to Key also has solutions for other devices. So if you have another gamepad that isn't a Xbox controller, you can also use those. However, you probably have to set those up manually. There's probably links to set those up as well if you have a different one. You're not getting shot up. But I unfortunately won't know which ones you guys actually use, so this is just a guide for the Xbox controller for now. Again, works really well. You could set it up for triggers if you wanted to use triggers instead of the A and B keys. However, I find that the A and B keys work rather well together, so I'm kind of keeping them A and B for the time being. So I would recommend that one personally, but as a lot of people said in chat during the live show, they thought that the triggers are probably a better solution, but whatever. So there you go. I just completed a Space Combat mission entirely with a gamepad, and I tried to make sure that this was in the same screen so that you guys didn't call BS on it. In fact, I'm going to go right over to the accept key and press the mouse key. So that's it. That's pretty cool. It's a pretty interesting way of doing space combat. I think it's a lot of fun to do it this way, and a lot easier on your back being scrunched over a keyboard constantly. So, would fully recommend doing it this way. So I'm going to go and just show you again, real quick. Let's see. Crew skills. Where are my crew skills? There are my crew skills. Alright, so crew skills, again, you can see that I can pretty much control this from here if I needed to. You know, I could send the companion out. Obviously, I'm already got plenty of people queued up, so I'm not going to really show that off. But again, I could be in the bed and do this, or I could be away from my computer and, you know, just move around it so that I don't AFK out while I'm sitting here trying to queue up stuff while I'm actually still around. So, pretty cool option for those that are looking for it. I know it's not really native support for space combat, however, it's almost as good. I mean, I really have yet to find a point where this does not hold up in space combat. So if you're looking for it and you're looking for an option, it's a good option. Check it out. Let me know what you think.